Hi friends, it's Valerie. Welcome back to another week's What's for Dinner. If you're new here, welcome. I'd love if you'd hit that subscribe button and join my YouTube family. I put out What's for Dinner videos every week, and this week I have 3 amazing meals for you that I hope that you enjoy for some meal inspiration. One of them is going to be a crock pot chicken spaghetti. It was really good. I loved how easy it was, and then the other one's going to be turkey meatballs. Those were really good as well. I don't normally make homemade meatballs. They were delicious. I made some air fried green beans, and that might be one of my new favorite vegetable sides now. I love the freshness of them. They were really good. I love vegetables a lot though. So, and the last one was a sticky chicken finger salad, and wow, let me tell you, that was my new favorite salad. It's super tasty. I love all the flavors that are in it. It's not your most healthy salad. It does have a lot of things in it, but I use this as a dinner, so it didn't really bother me, and I loved it. So I hope that you enjoy them, and let's get started. This first recipe is Crockpot chicken spaghetti. I'm starting off by bringing my large pot of water to a boil and salting it, and then cooking this 1-pound box of spaghetti noodles in there. I'm just pressing that down into the boiling water as they soften, and then I'm going to go ahead and use my tongs to kind of separate them so that the noodles don't stick together as they cook. And I just cooked mine al dente to my package directions. For this recipe, I'm using a rotisserie chicken just to make things easier on me. I found it on sale at Walmart, so I went ahead and just picked that up to make this quick and easy. But you can definitely use just chicken breast that you've already cooked, or just already pre-cooked chicken in any way. You can also just cook up some fresh chicken in a crock pot, instant pot, boil it however you want, but you're just going to need an equivalent of about 2 chicken breasts worth of shredded chicken. Next, I'm just cubing an 8-ounce block of cream cheese into some nice cubes so that they melt up in the crock pot nice and easy. You're going to need 1 can of Rotel diced tomatoes with green chilies, as well as 1 can of cream of mushroom soup, and 3/4 of a cup of chicken broth, and I'm just using the better than bouillon to make that with some water. You're also going to need 1 to 2 cups of Velveeta cheese, and all I had was the shreds, not the block, so I'm using that. And then just go ahead and place your chicken on the bottom of the crock pot with your 4 tablespoons of butter and your Velveeta cheese on top of that. And then you're going to just dump in your cans of Rotel and your cream of mushroom soup. Next, I'm adding in the cubed up cream cheese, and then I'm going to go ahead and add in my 3/4 cup of chicken broth, and I'm just using my little spoon here to kind of mix that all together so that it can all cook kind of evenly, all the flavors combining together. And then once that is all mixed together, I'm just going to go ahead and add my cooked spaghetti noodles on top of that, and you'll just place your lid on, and you're going to cook this for 2 hours on low or until your cheese melts. And I will make a note that halfway through I did check this, and I stirred it a little bit to get the cheese mixture all combined. And I just served this with some garlic toast, and this was really delicious. I never had chicken spaghetti like this before, and it did not disappoint. I love how easy it was using the rotisserie chicken. This next meal is turkey meatballs and some air fried green beans. I'm starting off by dicing up some yellow onion. You can probably use yellow or white onion for this, and you just need about a 1/2 cup. Next, I'm just mincing up some garlic using my little garlic press here, and I believe I'm mincing up about 2 to 3 cloves, somewhere in there. You can use whatever amount of garlic you think you would like, but I really love garlic. And now I am just chopping up some of the green parts from some green onions, and I don't really have any exact measurements on that, maybe about a quarter cup's worth. And I wanted to also add in some fresh parsley. I didn't have much left on my plant, so I just took what I could, and I used some dry later on. Now I'm just adding in 2 tablespoons of olive oil to my pan, and once that's hot, I'm going to go ahead and add in the chopped up onion and just stir that around and let that saute until it gets soft. And I'm going to go ahead and add in the minced up garlic and let that become to get fragrant for like 30 seconds to a minute. Next, I'm adding in 2 tablespoons of chicken broth that I made with Better Than Bouillon, and I'm adding in a half a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. And then I'm just stirring that all together, and I'm going to let it cook for a couple of minutes. And once those couple minutes have passed, I'm just going to turn off the heat, maybe even remove it from the heat and let that begin to cool. And now I'm going to get started on those meatballs. So I'm taking 1 pound of ground turkey, and I have 1 beaten egg, and I'm adding that in, as well as 1/4 cup breadcrumbs and 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. And then I'm going to go ahead and add in that chopped up green onions and the chopped up parsley, and then here you'll see me adding just a little bit extra dried parsley. And then you're going to go ahead and add in those cooled onions and garlic mixture. And then I'm just seasoning that with some salt and pepper, no real measurements, just to eyeing, like what I would normally use for a pound of ground meat. And now you're just going to mix that all together, and I do find that using your hand is best for things like this, so that's what I am going to go ahead and do, just get all of that mixed very well together. Now I'm just going to be forming those meatballs into some like 1-inch size meatballs. You can do anywhere from 1 to 1.5 inches. This is just my preference in size, and my meatballs were kind of loose. I don't know if it's because I was working with frozen turkey meat that I defrosted and that extra moisture or not, but it still all worked out perfectly for me in the end. It just was a little bit more loose to get them to form. Now I'm just taking my large skillet over medium-high heat, and I'm adding a tablespoon of olive oil as well as a tablespoon of butter, and I'm just letting that melt and get nice and heated. And once it's good, I'm going to go ahead and add in all of my meatballs, and I'm going to let them brown for about 2 minutes and undisturbed, like not touching them, so that they can brown up. And then I'm going to go ahead and flip those over so that all sides can kind of get browned up. You only have to really do both sides. At one point I did do some of the other sides because I really like that brown crust that you can get by browning them, so that's what I did, but you don't have to do that. Just the 2 sides of the meatball is necessary. So just make sure it's about 2 minutes on each side. Now I'm just using this packet of Walmart brand turkey gravy, and I'm going to go ahead and put that in my little pot here, and it's cool, and I'm going to whisk that to get the clumps out, as well as slowly add in my water according to my package directions. And of course you can make homemade gravy or use jarred gravy, whatever your preference is. I just decided to do this. And now I'm pouring all that gravy over the meatballs, and I'm going to let that cook on low with the lid on my pan and just let that simmer for about 15 minutes, 15 to 20, just depending. I checked it with my meat thermometer, and for me it was about 15 minutes. You just want to make sure you have an internal temperature of 165 degrees. And while those were simmering, I decided to get my sides together, and I wanted some green beans. So I'm just taking some cleaned up fresh green beans, and I'm seasoning them with some salt, pepper, garlic powder, and I put some olive oil on them to coat them and to make all the seasoning stick to them. And I'm just going to go ahead and toss those to coat, and then just place them in my air fryer basket. And I believe I cooked these at 400 degrees on air fry for about 7 or 8 minutes. And they were still crunchy, so if you like them softer than like a nice crunchy texture, go ahead and add them like some additional time, maybe about 15 minutes, and just check them. And another side I wanted was those roasted garlic mashed potatoes, so I just whipped those up real quick, put the gravy on those, and this was fabulous. I really love this meal. Those green beans were so good, and so were the turkey meatballs. Like, I don't normally have meatballs like that, or homemade meatballs, but they were great. I hope you enjoy those. This last meal is sticky chicken finger salad. I'm starting off by taking these Tyson crispy chicken strips, and I'm going to place them in my air fryer basket. You're going to need about 8 to 10 depending on the size of them. So I think I used about 10 of them because I had some smaller pieces. I just placed that in my air fryer for 12 minutes at 360 degrees. And then I forgot to hit record and show you guys, but I cut up some romaine lettuce, some cucumber chunks, like from half a cucumber, as well as these grape tomatoes. I halved them, and I also grated up a carrot, and I just put that in my bowls because we were having large salads for dinner. I'm making some ranch. I have the recipe, so it's just a 1/4 cup of mayonnaise, a 1/4 cup of milk, and about 3/4 to a tablespoon of the ranch powder, and I'm mixing that together so I can just set that aside. And I'm gonna get started on the sauce, and I'm taking this Frank's Red Hot sauce here. I'm using 1/3 cup of that in a medium heat, and I actually had it too high, so I quickly added in also my 1/4 cup of water. And I'm also adding in a 1 cup of brown sugar. This was the last in my bag, so I'm pretty much just adding in what I had left, which is actually a little more than a full cup, slightly over a cup, but it actually was better in my opinion, having it with a little bit extra sweetness to it. It's a really nice sweet and spicy taste, so I'm just gonna go ahead and let that cook until the sugar dissolves and let that come to a boil. Then I'm just gonna let it go ahead and cool down a couple minutes so it can start to thicken up. I also wanted some green onion in my salad, so I'm just chopping up the green part of a couple green onions here to add to my salad for some extra flavor. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and take my sauce and dip those chicken fingers into it, and then set them aside while I continue to coat all of the rest of them. And then once they're all nice and coated, I'm going to go ahead and just chop them up into some bite-sized pieces. When I have large salads like this for dinner, I like to add extra toppings, so I'm adding in some dried cranberries, as well as some of these wonton strips. They were a really nice addition to add the crunch to this salad. I also think those like Asian style dried noodles would be really good with that. I'm also adding in some cheddar cheese on top, and I'm gonna top it with some of that ranch. And wow guys, this was one of my favorite salads. Like, I was blown away by this. We absolutely loved it, and if you love salads, this is definitely not going to disappoint you. Thanks so much for watching, friends. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future What's for Dinner videos, and I hope you all have an amazing week.